Hi guys. So it goes like this. When I was at the Corris exhibition last year, I met a lad who brought his models to show me. They were really finished to a high, almost intimidatingly high standard. Fast forward to a few weeks ago and these arrived in the post. That's right, it's the same young lad. And he started, with the help of his father, a little project called Mini Builds. And I was chuffed to bits they were happy for me to build a couple on the channel. This is a business in its very early days, and the website is a while off from being finished, but it will at least give you contact details, should you like to make one up yourself. So this is Corris's little Clayton diesel, number 9, Abertlevenny. And I'll actually be making two up this week, one as it has been running on corris, and one how it looks now the Talyllyn has smartened it up. The beauty is that these can run on both layouts. It's obviously a teeny tiny little thing, and in terms of chassis, utilises this Japanese motor bogie, the TU-7T, which I got off Plaza Japan. This must be the smallest chassis I've seen, and the body's been designed to such fine clearances that the chassis is just a little push fit, no modification needed. And the level of detail is spot on as well. Full cab interior, works and nameplates, you name it. The first thing I'll do is give it a brush over to wipe away any rogue resin. I don't actually need to do any prep work at all. Madness. Because of the size of this thing, I'll stick it to a cotton bud so I can handle it easier. And it's ready to prime, I guess. Grey car primer always does the job. And then onto the main body colour. These two diesels are both yellow, but the shades are slightly different, as the current livery seems a little bit more rich than the previous, so I'll need to mix that up. The chassis also need to be painted up. They've been primed alongside the bodies, and with what looks like the hand of a minion, I'll try to hold these teeny things steady to paint them up. This is the TR Clayton chassis, so the main block is black. The wheel faces are fancy now, so they're black with the rim and centre point picked out in yellow. Because fashionable. I was cautious painting up because I'm unfamiliar with the chassis. I was worried it would play up after, but the rear of the wheels act as the pickups up against the side of the chassis, so there's not really an issue. The chassis for the Corris Clayton is actually yellow to match the body, and this was sprayed up at the same time as the body, so the paint finish was consistent. The wheels on this one are less of a pain, they're simply black. However, the rear ones do have a spot of yellow to finish them off. Here are the two bodies side by side, and hopefully you can just about make out that the TR one on the left is different shade to the Corris on the right. I can then start to mask it up for the black bonnet. In my head this was going to be a really quick and easy job, but the roof being so low and the lamp being in the way made it not. In the end I just masked up the main part and hoped for the best. And then the black could go on. The bonnet's not the only part to go black at this point, as the TR version also has black sides to match the frames. By unravelling the masking tape off, we can see that whilst I caught the majority of the bonnet, I covered up where it goes under the roof, which was intentional. I decided that hand painting the rest would be a much easier job. It's the same black paint, so hopefully it won't be obvious with brush marks and whatnot. Whilst black paint was on the brush, I went at the details. And this includes the buffer blocks, which are beautifully moulded, and technically are usable with a pin. But I'm mad enough with the hook and chains for now, so I'll leave that. Details are also picked out black on the sides as well. The main concern of mine was how I was going to physically paint the cab details. Again, this is not easy because of the super tight clearances to work in, but I'm hoping that once it's weathered, it won't look messy. Well, unintentionally messy, that is. Plus, a chap will be sitting in the way. Coming to the end of the details to paint on, and we get to the plates. As I say, these are actually moulded as part of the body, but aren't that much thicker than etch plates would be, so it's nice. These are getting filled in with black and left to dry. The plate on the front of the hood and the nameplate on the front of the roof are picked out in grey for now. And the lettering will be brushed in with white later on. I can then go back to the now dried nameplates and use the same grey to pick out the raised lettering and edging. The buffers on the front of this Loco are wooden. And as the Loco needs weathering down, I didn't see much point taking time to make this look like fancy wood. Brown will do just fine. Well, I'll probably paint the faces up in black, but still, basic and quick. The corris version, however, needs to look a bit more rough and tumbled around the edges. So I went at it with rusty paint, and added some nice detail along the corners and edges of anything metal. And it would almost certainly be rusting in these areas if the Loco had been in service for a while. I don't actually get much practice doing rust effects, so this could definitely look better in my opinion, but it gives the idea. The final detail is the headlamp lens. And with the body fitted back onto the chassis, it's time for weathering. The corris version needs to look much more grubby than the TR one, so the black wash was applied in the traditional way. I really like how the black almost stains the yellow paint. It's such a simple process, but it does so much to the model. The TR version, on the other hand, has literally just been painted, so instead of my normal way of plastering on neat black, I mixed up a thinned down sample and applied that instead. This then got watered down further on the model, until it was really only visible around the details. Very subtle. And there we go, they're looking good. Oh, hang on, where's the driver? This is a Model U seated figure, and he simply refused to sit down. I strongly suggested that they did, by removing half a leg, and a foot from the other one. He seems happy to sit down now. I only got the one sitting man as a trial, but now I know that he'll fit, I've got another one in the post. For the corris Loco, I wanted it to fit in a pre-preservation era, so I opted out of a high vis as intended, Instead, I went for bland colours like dull browns, off-whites and dark greys. Not the traditional Loco driving attire, I'll give you that. But when he's grubby, he'll look like he knows what he's doing. Ah, there we go, this is the enamel black wash. I use this one for figures and walling and things like that, as it's better at pin washing and shading, whereas the poster paint black wash, pattern pending, almost gives softer edges, better for dirty stock. And with a little blob of super gel added to the seat, our new friend sits down. Forever. Or until my toddler gets hold of him. He fits, but blimey it does look snug, and I assume a headache's not that far away for him. I was done at this point, but then I got a message from the designer of the model, who suggested that I fitted resistors to rein in the chassis a bit. Because out of the box they do run like a chicken with a firework up its cloaca. Luckily, they are so basic that even I can do it. The motor only has 2 wires, which go to the pickups. So it's just a case of cutting one off and fitting a resistor in the gap. One final job for these two are the couplings. They're destined for different layouts, so they need different types of couplings. The one that'll run on corrish needs hooks and chains, and these will simply be glued into a slot in the buffer block. They look good, and as the Loco only has small side buffers, it'll be easy to hook up to wagons. The one that'll run on Angwernal needs Greenwich couplings. Like the hooks though, these can just be slid into the buffer block and glued into place. Right then, let's take them for a spin. Okay, so this is the first I've actually run them apart from the quick test to make sure they work. So I'll give them a bit of time to run them in. It won't really run with that many wagons, but it does seem quite happy. And being so teeny tiny, it doesn't have any issues with clearances on corrish. The main thing is that I now have 2 Locos that can run on corrish during exhibitions, which is grand because the tattoo really takes a hell of a hit at shows. It runs non-stop all day. Or weekend. So there we go. 2 little diesels. So thank you so much to the new mini builds for sending me these. I wish you the best of luck with your new project. In fact, they did send me a couple of prototype bits that they're working on, but I'm holding on to those for a side project that's coming up soon. You'll see them. Good. That went well. Cheers.